Real journalism is slow. It involves digging through unorganized facts, checking sources, and waiting for context. But scroll through your feed and you will find disputes arriving perfectly formed, immediately demanding your anger.
It was ritualistic. I'm going to slaughter an innocent man in front of you, and you're going to like it, and you're going to take it, and then you're going to go back and support me again.
Yes. When we jump into these viral arguments, it feels like we're participating in a healthy democracy. We think we're debating real issues with real people.
We're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, why are you? What am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here.
But many of these digital clashes are completely manufactured. This is the orchestrated conflict model. It's a system where bad actors stage entire online events, specifically to trap audiences in a cycle of argument.
Shut the f*** up for once in your life. You know, you need to shut the f*** up for once in your life. It's our turn to talk. You were wrong. You threw me under the bus. You thought it was going to help you with Trump. It happened exactly like I said. Now it's time for you to shut the f*** up and listen for once. That goes for the rest of them too.
Look at this arrangement here. A model human brain placed right between logic and emotion. The engine driving this model is attention harvesting. The goal is to use fake, highly distressing content to bypass the logic side entirely and short-circuit your critical thinking.
Surprise, shouty,
here it comes.
As they say. You see, Angie, what I told Erica Kirk was that part of the reason why I suspected Turning Point USA and why I thought she should be looking into other people is because someone at Turning Point USA got a message out to me. And that message was that I need to look further into Andrew Colvett.
Uh-oh. Who was it?
It was Mikey McCoy.
It was Mikey McCoy! Kurt!
Oh.
It was Mikey McCoy who told Candace Owens, look into Andrew Colvett.
If a post makes you terrified or furious, you don't stop to check if the video is from 5 years ago or if the quote was fabricated. You just react.
Whoa.
Oh.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh. Ah!
Oh, Mikey
Yeah, so let's listen.
The digital landscape is increasingly defined by these hidden actors who treat your righteous outrage as a crop ready for harvest. The cycle begins with the instigator, the bad cop. They drop an obvious, easily disprovable lie.
Bothers me, Rob, in all of this is that they know that we know better, and yet they foist this as the narrative and the parable anyway.
Or a piece of staged trauma directly into the public timeline. They use shocking video and blaring audio to maximize the psychological impact.
I've been in a lot of shootings. I've killed more than a handful of people, and this thing looked shady off the bat. I mean, I've killed people closer than I saw the camera, and I've never seen a shirt move like that. That looks like an explosion to me.
The shock hits fast and leaves a lasting stain, a persistent feeling of unease that sticks around even after the claim is proven false.
Ways that things could have gone down, so many different manners, so many people speaking, so many publications publishing. And it's just meant to be chaotic, to drive you crazy and to just go, okay, I'm just going to accept whenever the authority says something and not prod any further.
Almost immediately, a second account, the good cop, arrives. They publicly dismantle the lie, providing all the right facts and saving the day.
We can't allow that to happen here. I won't allow that to happen here because this something terrible has traumatized the world, okay?
But look at the shadows behind the performance. The person spreading the lie and the person correcting it are often working together. This dynamic relies on credibility laundering. By taking down a claim that was intentionally designed to be weak, the debunker builds massive moral authority. They look like a hero fighting for the truth. Meanwhile, every retweet, quote tweet, and angry reply thanking the debunker pushes the original lie further into the algorithm. The cure spreads the disease. While millions of users are busy picking sides in the comments, the people running the campaign are gathering data.
That at this event of the century, they successfully had geofenced and geotagged everyone who went there to mourn Charlie. So really, it was like hats, merch, and some cell phone data, apparently.
Look at this chart unpacking orchestrated conflict. These mechanisms map directly to strategic objectives. By tracking who reacts to the shock, they identify which emotional triggers work best on which demographic. They also track who corrects the lie, measuring how eagerly groups defend their team. This behavioral mapping allows orchestrators to categorize users into precise factions, identifying those who are skeptical and those who are ready to mobilize.
They caught me. I fell for this crap back then.
Orchestrators then deploy trending phrases that act as narrative containers, distilling the chaos into memorable shortcuts for their followers. Repeatedly using these slogans signals group alignment, eventually turning a collection of angry users into a unified social identity.
Love y'all. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed. Thank you for all you do. Go Max. Thank you for that update. Christ is king indeed. Oh, Max, Christ is king indeed.
Orchestrated outrage functions as a diagnostic tool, mapping psychological vulnerabilities to ensure the next influence operation hits even harder. Enduring these manufactured crises day after day takes a severe mental toll. Researchers call this epistemic fatigue, the complete exhaustion of your ability to decipher what is true.
When we begin interacting with someone online or anywhere, we assume they are generally a good person who will generally act in good faith. We rely on this default assumption of integrity to function as a society, but each relationship involves a burden of integrity.
You are bombarded with so many conflicting claims, fake videos, and dramatic debunkings that your brain simply gives up. You stop trying to evaluate evidence and fall into a deep, apathetic cynicism. Because the world feels too confusing to navigate alone, exhausted users start leaning on the very people who created the chaos.
Relationships where little trust is required, such as that between two people seated beside each other on an airplane, have a small burden of integrity. However, relationships where much trust is required, such as that between a therapist and a client, has a large burden of integrity. That burden of integrity is the confidence one must have that the other will act in good faith.
A dependency loop forms, where audiences rely entirely on their chosen online debunkers to interpret reality and regulate their emotions.
Acting in good faith is pro-social behavior that results in outcomes that are best for the group, not the individual.
This constant emotional manipulation trains people to view all information as a trick. When a genuine emergency happens, the public no longer trusts the actual experts, the data, or their own eyes. Without a shared reality, complex political issues devolve into crude scapegoating. Every problem is blamed on an outgroup, turning policy debates into hostile, absolute clashes between good and evil.
While participating in a public, crowdsourced investigation into a political assassination, we often form close bonds with others who share our goals. We may collaborate with other people, and these collaborations can be influential. Their influence can greatly exceed that of any independently verifiable fact claims they may also bring. They have the capacity to steer us on course, and they have the capacity to steer us off course. That is why I believe that close collaborators in this context bear a high burden of integrity, because we rely on these people to influence our decisions and our judgment. We must ensure their influence is in good faith.
But you can break the cycle by recognizing the pattern. A staged conflict usually has 3 clear tells. First, it relies on a piece of media designed to shock you. Second, it forces you to pick an absolute side immediately. And third, a savior figure arrives right on time with a neat, perfect explanation. When you see these 3 elements line up, the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. Do not argue, do not share the correction, and do not engage.
We must ensure that the influence is in the best interest of the group, not the individual. This is particularly relevant in a public context where social media popularity and monetization can lead to selfish motives that benefit the individual over the group. In other words, someone who fails to meet their burden of integrity may misstate their true beliefs to be more popular on social media, and they may fabricate evidence to get clicks. The way we determine if someone can be trusted or not to misstate their beliefs or fabricate evidence for personal gain is by assessing whether they've met their burden of integrity for the specific role they fill.
The machine only runs if you give it your attention. Starve the algorithm of your emotional data, and you take away their power, leaving room for actual, honest conversation.